The dying message. The transmission arrived at Galactic Council headquarters on a Tuesday morning, though such human measurements of time meant little in the grand chamber where 17 species debated the fate of trillions. Council Speaker Voran of the Kelvar Concordat stood at the central podium, his three-fingered hands trembling as he played the recording for the assembled representatives. His blue-tinged skin had paled to an almost translucent shade, a sign of profound distress among his people. The audio crackled through the chamber's translation matrix, but no technology could filter the raw terror in the voices. Please, anyone who can hear this, the swarm is 3 days out. Mama, are the ships coming? You said the ships would come. 40,000 souls on Kelvar 7. We have women, children, elderly. Our defense platforms won't hold. This is our final transmission. If anyone receives this, tell our families we... Static consumed the rest. Voran's voice broke as he addressed the council. Honored representatives, Kelvar 7 is a farming colony. They have no military, no warships, no means of escape. The Zatrine swarm will reach them in 72 hours. I beg this council, send help. Councillor Thex of the Vralian Empire was the first to respond, his serpentine form coiling around his hover platform. The council sympathizes with your plight, Speaker Voran. However, Kelvar 7 is 17 light-years beyond our established defense perimeter. The logistics alone— Logistics? Voran's composure shattered. We're discussing 40,000 lives. Lives that chose to settle beyond protected space. Councillor Mira of the Ascendancy interjected, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into cold rainbows. The council cannot be expected to defend every frontier outpost. We have treaties, protocols, resource limitations. We have warships sitting idle in dock. Voran slammed his fist against the podium. 3 battle groups within range. We could reach them in time. A heavy silence fell across the chamber. Finally, High Chancellor Corvex activated his speaking crystal. His ancient voice, weary from 3 centuries of service, filled the space. Let us vote. All in favor of authorizing military intervention to defend Kelvar 7. 3 lights illuminated on the voting board. Voran's own Kelvar delegation, the Taurian collective known for their humanitarian stance, and surprisingly, the isolated Meren cluster. All opposed? 14 lights blazed to life. The motion fails, Corvex declared. The council will issue a formal statement of regret and sympathy. We will offer refugee resettlement for any survivors who might— There won't be survivors. Voran's roar echoed through the chamber. The Zatrine don't leave survivors. They consume everything, bone, metal, stone. Kelvar 7 will be stripped to bedrock, and you all just voted to let it happen. He stormed from the chamber, his aides struggling to keep pace. What none of them knew was that the distress call from Kelvar 7 had traveled farther than the Galactic Council's receivers. Radio waves, after all, obeyed no political boundaries. The intercepted cry 27,000 light-years away, Earth's deep space monitoring station. Hawking floated in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. The facility, a joint project of the United Earth Space Command, had been listening to the cosmos for 40 years. Usually, they heard nothing but the cosmic background radiation, distant pulsar rhythms, and the occasional automated beacon from human deep space probes. Tonight was different. Communications Officer Lieutenant Marcus Webb was halfway through his 3rd coffee when the alert chimed. His screen flooded with data, a powerful directed transmission on frequencies matching known Galactic Council protocols. Chief, you need to hear this, Marcus called out, his fingers already working to boost the signal. Chief Warrant Officer Yuki Tanaka crossed the monitoring room in 3 strides. She'd been with Hawking Station since its commissioning, and she'd learned to trust Marcus's instincts. The kid had an ear for anomalies. The translation software, painstakingly developed from the limited contact Earth had with galactic civilization, began parsing the alien language. It was rough, imperfect, but enough. Swarm is 3 days out. 40,000 souls, Quao. Tell our families. Yuki felt her blood run cold. How old is this transmission? I'm calculating now. Chief, this was sent 8 days ago. It's been traveling through space and we just barely caught the edge of the wave. 8 days. Yuki's mind raced. If they said 3 days in the message, whatever was coming for them has already arrived. Or will in the next few hours. Marcus looked up at her, his young face suddenly older. Chief, what do we do? Yuki was already reaching for the quantum communicator. We forward this to Earth Command. and we pray someone there has the courage to care. 12 hours later, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the war room of United Earth Command headquarters in Geneva, watching the holographic display repeat the Kelvar 7 distress call for the 15th time. Around the conference table sat the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary General and representatives from every major Earth nation. The debate had been raging for hours. "We have no jurisdiction here," General Okonkwo argued, his Nigerian accent thick with frustration. "Earth isn't a member of the Galactic Council. We have exactly zero authority in their space. Since when do we need permission to help people?" Admiral Chen shot back. That signal contained voices of children begging for rescue. "Are we seriously debating whether they're our children to save?" Secretary General Liu Wei raised a hand for calm. "Admiral, no one questions the humanitarian impulse, but we must consider the practical reality. Our intelligence suggests the Galactic Council declined to intervene. If we launch a battle group into their space without authorization, they'll what? Complain?" Chen's voice carried the edge of someone who'd seen too many battles and too much death. "Sir, with respect, I don't give a damn about Galactic Council politics. I care about those 40,000 people who are dying right now, because politicians calculated they weren't worth saving. It's not that simple, Admiral." Ambassador Chen, no relation, interjected. The diplomat had spent years carefully nurturing Earth's delicate relationship with galactic civilization. If we violate their space, deploy warships without sanction, it could be interpreted as an act of aggression. We could jeopardize Earth's entire position in our position. Sarah Chen's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Let me tell you about positions, Ambassador. In 2089, when the Mumbai Plateau was hit by that asteroid and the oceans rose, did anyone ask about positions? No, we sent every ship we had. We saved 11 million people." She activated the hologram again, and the voices of terrified children filled the war room. In 2127, when the Martian domes started failing, did we check if Mars had filed the proper paperwork? No, Earth sent the entire construction fleet. We rebuilt their life support while people were still breathing. The room had gone quiet. "That's who we are," Chen continued, her voice steady now, certain. "That's who humans have always been. When someone is drowning, you don't check their citizenship before you pull them out. You just pull." She looked around the table, meeting each gaze in turn. "So I'm asking you, begging you, don't let politics make cowards of us. Don't let this be the moment we become the kind of species that hears children crying and does nothing." The silence stretched. Finally, Secretary General Liu spoke. "Admiral Chen, if we authorize this, if we send our ships into Galactic Council space without permission, there will be consequences. Sanctions, possibly. Diplomatic isolation. They might declare us a rogue state." "I understand, sir. And if things go badly out there, if we lose ships, lose personnel, I need you to understand that we cannot guarantee support. The political fallout could be severe." "I understand that too, sir." Liu closed his eyes, and for a moment the weight of his office showed in every line of his face. Then he opened them and they were clear. "Decided. How fast can you assemble a battle group?" The human decision. The vote, when it came, was not unanimous. It never was when humanity did something monumentally stupid and impossibly brave. But it was decisive. Authorization code. Prometheus, actual. Mission classification. Humanitarian Military Intervention Force deployment. Battle Group Prometheus. Commanding Officer, Admiral Sarah Chen. Objective: defend Kelvar 7 colony from hostile swarm incursion. Rules of engagement: full authorization for necessary force. Political authorization: approved with minority dissent. Status: immediate deployment. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, Earth's newest heavy cruiser, and watched her fleet assemble. 12 warships ranging from the massive dreadnought Defiance to the quick-strike destroyers Javelin and Thunder. 8,000 personnel, every one of them a volunteer because that's what Chen had insisted on. When Command approved the mission, she'd made one thing crystal clear. No one would be ordered into this fight. This was a volunteer mission, and anyone who wanted to stand down could do so without prejudice. Not a single person had declined. Her tactical officer, Commander James Park, approached with a datapad. "Admiral, we've got a problem. The Galactic Council has been monitoring our preparations. They're not happy. Show me." The communication was terse. Translated from Galactic Standard Attention Earth vessels. Your unauthorized military mobilization violates 17 interstellar treaties. Any incursion into Galactic Council space will be considered an act of aggression. Stand down immediately or face severe consequences. Chen read it twice, then handed the pad back to Park. Reply as follows. Message received and understood. Battle Group Prometheus will proceed as planned. If the Council wishes to file a complaint, they may do so after we've saved the people they abandoned. Chen out. Park's eyes widened. Admiral, that's going to burn every bridge we have with the Council. Then we'll build new bridges later, Commander. Right now we have work to do. She turned to face her bridge crew, young faces mostly, veteran spacers mixed with fresh Academy graduates. All of them watching her, waiting. I'm not going to lie to you, Chen began. What we're about to do will make Earth pariahs in galactic politics. The Council will condemn us. Other species will call us reckless, dangerous, typical Deathworlders who can't follow the rules. She paused, letting that sink in. They're probably right. We are dangerous. We did come from a death world where everything tried to kill us. The weather, the animals, the bacteria, even the plants. We evolved in a crucible of violence and survival, and maybe that did make us different from the other species out there. Chen walked to the viewport, looking out at the assembled fleet. But it also made us into something else. It made us into people who don't give up, who don't abandon the weak, who don't calculate whether someone is worth saving before we save them. She turned back to her crew. In 3 weeks, we'll reach Kelvar 7. Intelligence suggests we'll be facing a Zatrine swarm. Hundreds of bioships, maybe thousands. We'll be outnumbered, outgunned, and operating with no support and no retreat. Nervous glances passed between stations. But we'll also be standing between 40,000 innocents and extinction. And that crew is what being human means. Not our technology, not our weapons, not even our death world toughness. It means when someone needs help, we answer. Not with diplomacy. Not with thoughts and prayers. We answer with everything we have. She moved to her command chair and sat down, her posture straight, her voice ringing with conviction. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to jump to Kelvar 7. We're going to form a defensive perimeter around that colony, and we're going to hold the line no matter what comes through. Because that's what humans do. We hold the line. The bridge erupted in affirmation, not cheers, but something deeper. The sound of people who understood they might die and accepted it anyway. All ships report ready status, Park announced. Then let's go save some lives, Chen ordered. Navigation, plot jump to Kelvar 7. Maximum speed. Helm, execute. The fleet vanished from Earth space in a cascade of Alcubierre distortions, leaving behind only the radio chatter of orbital stations and the stunned silence of Galactic Council observers. In the darkness between stars, Battle Group Prometheus raced toward a battle that no tactical computer gave them better than 15% odds of surviving. Behind them on Earth, families said prayers. Politicians crafted speeches of denial or support depending on which way the political winds blew. News networks debated whether humanity had just saved itself or doomed itself. But aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Sarah, Chen simply reviewed tactical data and drank her coffee. They had 3 weeks to prepare for the impossible. She intended to use every second. Arrival at Kelvar. The jump transition was rough. Battle Group. Prometheus tore back into normal space with all the grace of a brick through a window. Alarms blared across 12 bridges as ships compensated for the violent re-entry. Their inertial dampeners working overtime to keep crews from being reduced to paste against bulkheads. Admiral Chen gripped her command chair's armrests, feeling her stomach relocate itself to somewhere near her spine. No matter how many jumps she'd made in 30 years of service, that part never got easier. Status report, she barked the moment her inner ear remembered which way was up. All ships accounted for. Admiral, Commander Park reported, his voice tight. Minor system strain on the Valiant, but nothing critical. Sensors coming online now. The main display flickered to life, showing Kelvar 7 in all its battered glory. The planet was beautiful in the way that frontier worlds often were. Untamed, raw, still wearing its wilderness-like armor. 3 small continents dotted a world that was more ocean than land. From orbit, Chen could see the single major settlement. A cluster of domed structures surrounding a central spaceport. Agricultural zones spread out in geometric patterns, feeding the 40,000 souls who dared to make a life on the galaxy's edge. Except now, scorch marks scarred those fields. 2 of the orbital defense platforms were nothing but debris. And the third, that platform's been completely stripped, Lieutenant Sato reported from Tactical. Biosignatures suggest Zatrine feeders. They were here, Admiral, recently. How recently? Residual thermal patterns suggest 6 hours ago. Maybe less. Chen felt ice settle in her chest. Then where are they now? Scanning. Admiral, I've got mass readings at the system's edge. 17 AU out behind the second gas giant. Sato's hands danced across her console. Signature matches Zatrine swarm vessels. I count. Jesus Christ, Admiral. 214 confirmed contacts. Possibly more hiding in the giant's magnetic shadow. 214. Against 12 human ships. The bridge went silent. Chen broke it. Tactical assessment, Commander Park? Park didn't sugarcoat it. In a straight fight, we last maybe 40 minutes before they overwhelm us. The Zatrine don't use conventional weapons. They're biological constructs that ram and board. Once they latch onto a hull, they start consuming the ship from the outside in. Standard defensive fire is only partially effective. Partially effective is better than completely ineffective, Chen replied. What about the colony? Can they evacuate? Negative. They have 3 transport ships, but they're agricultural haulers, no jump drives. Even if they loaded everyone aboard, they'd just die in space instead of on the ground. Then we make our stand here. Chen's voice carried no hesitation. Communications hail the colony. Let them know help has arrived. On the surface of Kelvar 7, Governor Televan stood in the emergency command center, watching his world die in slow motion. The first wave of Zatrine scouts had hit 6 hours ago, testing their defenses, stripping one of their platforms like locusts devouring a crop. They'd retreated after that, but everyone knew why. The swarm was gathering. When they returned, they would return in force, and that would be the end. Televan had already recorded his final messages. He'd walked through the shelters where families huddled together, promising them that help was coming even though he knew it was a lie. The Galactic Council had made their position clear. Kelvar 7 was expendable, so when the alarm started screaming about new contacts dropping out of hyperspace, Televan assumed the end had come early. Governor, his aide Jenna was staring at her display with an expression somewhere between shock and disbelief. Sir, those aren't Zatrine signatures. They're ships, warships. 12 of them, military grade, forming a defensive sphere around the planet. What? Who the Council changed their minds? No, sir. These aren't Council vessels. The transponder codes are... Jenna looked up, her eyes wide. They're human. The word hung in the air like a prayer. Humans. The Deathworlders. The species that most of the galaxy regarded with a mixture of fear and fascination. The newcomers who'd barely joined galactic civilization 20 years ago. Still rough around the edges. Still carrying the violence of their brutal homeworld in their DNA. The species the Council had specifically warned against provoking. They came, Televan whispered. They actually came. The communications console chimed. Jenna activated it and a holographic image materialized. A human female in a dark blue uniform, her face weathered by time and command, her eyes sharp with intelligence and something else. Something fierce. Kelvar 7, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Command commanding Battle Group Prometheus. We received your distress call. We're here to help. Televan found his voice, though it shook. Admiral Chen, The Galactic Council. I know what the Council did, Governor. And I know what they didn't do. Chen's expression hardened. We're not the Council. When humans hear someone calling for help, we answer. Now I need you to listen carefully. We've detected the Zatrine swarm at the system's edge. They'll make their move soon. And when they do, things are going to get loud up here. I need your people in shelters, deep as you can get them. Do you understand? Admiral, there are 40,000 civilians on this planet. Women, children, elderly. We have no defenses, no way to evacuate. You have us, Governor. Chen's voice cut through his panic like a knife through fog. We didn't travel 3 weeks just to watch you die. We came here to make sure you live. So get your people to safety and let us do our job. Televan felt something he hadn't felt in days. Hope. Fragile, terrifying hope. Admiral Chen. Why would Earth risk this? We're not your people. We're not even your allies. The Council will... The Council can go to hell, Chen interrupted. You asked for help. That's all the reason we need. Chen out. The hologram vanished. Televan stood in silence for a moment, then turned to his staff. You heard the Admiral. Get everyone to the deep shelters now, and someone find me a way to tie into the human tactical network. If these Deathworlders are going to fight for us, the least we can do is watch them do it. Preparing the impossible aboard the Indomitable, the clock was ticking. Admiral Chen stood at the tactical display, watching the Zatrine swarm begin to move. The bioships were emerging from behind the gas giant like a nightmare made manifest. Organic vessels that looked more like deep-sea creatures than spacecraft. All tentacles and bioluminescent patches and hungry, horrible purpose. They're forming attack formation, Lieutenant Sato reported. Based on movement patterns, I estimate they'll reach engagement range in 4 hours. 4 hours to prepare for the impossible. All ships, battle stations, Chen ordered. Formation Delta 7. Defiance and Indomitable take point positions. Cruisers form the second line. Destroyers on rapid response, I want you free to plug gaps wherever they form. Acknowledgements flooded in from her captains. Good people, all of them. People who knew exactly what they'd signed up for. Commander Park, what's our supply situation? We loaded every missile, every railgun slug, every drop of fusion fuel we could carry before departure. At maximum combat expenditure, we've got enough ammunition for approximately 6 hours of sustained engagement. And if the fight goes longer than 6 hours? Park met her gaze steadily. Then we get creative, Admiral. Chen almost smiled. Spoken like a true human. All right, let's make those 6 hours count. I want firing solutions on the swarm's lead elements the moment they enter range. Target the big ones first. If Zatrine follow any kind of hierarchy, taking out their command organisms might disrupt their coordination. Aye, Admiral. And Park? Make sure every crew member knows this. We're not here to win. We're here to hold. As long as that colony is behind us, we don't retreat, we don't surrender, and we damn sure don't break. Clear? Crystal clear, Admiral. 3 decks below in the Indomitable's Marine Deployment Bay, Sergeant Major Maria Santos was giving her own version of the pep talk. Listen up. Her voice carried over the organized chaos of Marines checking weapons, sealing armor, and running last-minute equipment diagnostics. In about 4 hours, some ugly-ass alien bugs are going to try to eat a planet full of innocent people. Our job is to make sure that doesn't happen. She paced along the line of her Marines, 200 of Earth's finest, drawn from a dozen nations and cultures, unified by the simple creed that had defined human warriors since the dawn of time. Protect the innocent. Hold the line, never quit. Now I know what you're thinking, Santos continued. 214 enemy ships against our 12. Those are shit odds. And you're right. They are shit odds for the Zatrine. That got a few nervous laughs. See those bugs? They've been terrorizing the galaxy for centuries. They've wiped out colonies, consumed entire civilizations, and the response from the Galactic Council has been to run away and hope the monsters don't follow. But here's what those bugs don't know. They've never fought humans before. Santos stopped in front of a young private, couldn't be more than 20, fresh from training, probably scared out of his mind. They don't know that we came from a world that tried to kill us every single day. They don't know that we've spent our entire evolutionary history learning how to fight, how to adapt, how to survive when everything says we should die. And most importantly, she raised her voice, addressing the entire bay. They don't know that when a human draws a line in the sand and says no further, that line becomes sacred. That line becomes unbreakable. Because we're not fighting for territory or resources or political advantage. We're fighting for 40,000 people who just want to live. And that, Marines, is a cause worth dying for. The bay erupted in a roar that shook the bulkheads. Santos grinned. So here's the plan. When those ships come, some of them are going to get through. It's inevitable. When they do, they're going to try to latch onto our hulls and board us. That's when you earn your pay. Every boarding party you repel is one less ship attacking the fleet. Every second you hold them off is one more second the Admiral has to protect that colony. Understood? Sir, yes, sir. Good. Now check your battle buddies, say your prayers if you've got 'em, and get ready to show these bugs why you don't mess with Deathworlders. The swarm arrives. The Zatrine attacked at 1847 hours. Ship time. They came like a wave of organic horror. 200 bioships accelerating to attack speed, their bioluminescent organs pulsing in patterns that might have been beautiful if they weren't so clearly predatory. Missile batteries fire at will, Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the adrenaline screaming through her veins. The Indomitable shuddered as its vertical launch systems unleashed hell. Hundreds of missiles streaked across the void, their fusion drives painting trails of light against the darkness. The other human ships followed suit, and for a brief, glorious moment, space between the fleet and the swarm became a wall of fire. The first wave of Zatrine died spectacularly, their organic hulls unable to withstand the concentrated nuclear fury of human weapons. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers, each one marking the end of a bioship that had terrorized the galaxy for too long. But for every one they killed, 3 more surged forward. They're not slowing down, Sato reported. They're tanking the losses and pressing the attack. Adjusting targeting priorities to optimize. Belay that, Chen interrupted. Don't try to be efficient. Be destructive. I want maximum firepower on maximum targets. Make them pay for every meter they advance. Railguns opened up next, hurling tungsten slugs at relativistic speeds. Each impact punched through bioship armor like paper, and the void filled with frozen ichor and dying screams transmitted through quantum wake turbulence. It wasn't enough. Hostile contact on the Valiant, Park announced. 3 bioships have broken through and are attaching to her hull. Chen watched on the tactical display as the cruiser Valiant became a Christmas tree of warning lights. Zatrine boarding organisms, each the size of a tank, all teeth and acid and horrible hunger, were cutting through her hull. Valiant. Report status. Captain Morrison's voice came through, strained but steady. We've got boarders in sections 7 through 12, Admiral. Marine teams engaging now. We can hold them, but we're combat ineffective until we clear the infestation. Understood. Javelin Thunder. Provide close support for Valiant. Keep the bugs off her while she deals with boarders. Roger that. Admiral. The 2 destroyers peeled off from the main formation, their point defense systems shredding any bioship that came close to the embattled cruiser. It was a dance of protection and violence, and for a moment it worked. Then the second wave hit. 50 bioships, moving in perfect coordination, slammed into the human defensive line like a battering ram. The Defiance, Earth's pride, her dreadnought-class armor designed to withstand any known weapon, shuddered under the impact of 20 bioships attaching simultaneously. Defiance is critical, Park shouted. They're being consumed, structure integrity dropping fast. Chen made the hardest decision of her career. All ships, concentrate fire on the Defiance. Burn those things off her hull. Admiral, our own people. I know, Commander. Do it anyway. If the Defiance falls, our entire line collapses. The fleet obeyed. Every weapon that could draw a bead on the Defiance opened fire. Not at the Zatrine swarm, but at the bioships devouring humanity's flagship. The calculus was brutal. Kill the boarders, even if it meant damaging the ship they were trying to save. Explosions rippled across the Defiance's hull. Bioships died. Their organic forms no match for concentrated human firepower. But the damage... Defiance reporting massive casualties, Park's voice was hollow. Sections 4 through 20 are open to vacuum. Captain Reynolds is gone, Admiral. Commander Hayes has assumed command. 200 people dead in an instant sacrifice so the ship could keep fighting. Chen felt each death like a physical blow, but she couldn't afford to feel. Not yet, not while the battle raged. Commander Hayes, can you fight? The response came through crackling with static and the sound of alarms. We're venting atmosphere on 6 decks, our port weapons are offline, and we've got fires in engineering. But our starboard batteries are still hot, and I've got crew who want payback. We can fight, Admiral, then fight. All ships maintain formation. They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers. Don't let them. But the numbers were overwhelming. For every bioship the humans destroyed, the Zatrine seemed to have 2 more. The mathematics of war were turning against them, slowly but inevitably. The Thunder died at 1923 hours, swarmed by so many bioships that she disappeared beneath a living mass of alien flesh. Her fusion core detonated, taking 40 bioships with her in a final act of defiance, but she was gone, and 300 souls with her. The Valiant, already wounded, took critical damage to her power systems and began to drift, unable to maneuver. She became a stationary target, and the Zatrine showed no mercy. The last transmission from Captain Morrison was simple. It's been an honor. Then static. Chen watched her fleet dying, ship by ship, and knew they were losing. They'd killed perhaps 90 of the bioships, maybe more. But over 100 remained, and her own force was down to 10 ships, most of them damaged, all of them low on ammunition. The mathematics were clear. Battle Group Prometheus was going to die here, but the colony still stood. Victory and Legacy, Admiral, were being hailed. Galactic Council frequency. Chen almost laughed at the absurdity. Now they want to talk? Put them through. High Chancellor Korvex's holographic form materialized, and even through the alien features, Chen could read the shock. Admiral Chen, this is madness. You must retreat. Your fleet is being destroyed. We're aware, Chancellor. Then withdraw. You've made your point. The Council is willing to discuss what? Chen's voice could have cut diamond. Whether 40,000 people deserve to live? That discussion ended the moment you voted to abandon them. We're not here to make points or win arguments. We're here to hold the line. You're going to die. Probably. But they won't. Chen gestured at the tactical display where Kelvar 7 hung serene and untouched behind the wall of fire that had once been 12 human ships. That colony is still standing, Chancellor. Our mission is succeeding, even if we don't survive it. Korvex stared at her, and for a moment Chen saw something she hadn't expected. Shame. This is illogical, the Chancellor whispered. No species sacrifices itself for strangers. Then I guess humanity is illogical. Chen out. She cut the transmission and turned back to the battle. They'd been fighting for 4 hours and 37 minutes. Her fleet was down to 8 ships. Ammunition reserves were at 12%. They'd killed approximately 130 bioships, but 70 remained, and they were closing for what would surely be the final push. And then something impossible happened. Admiral, Sato's voice cracked with something that might have been hope. The swarm is breaking off. They're retreating. Chen stared at the tactical display. It was true. The remaining Zatrine bioships were pulling back, their formation dissolving into a disorganized retreat toward the system's edge. Why? Park breathed. They could have finished us. But Chen understood. She'd studied every available file on the Zatrine during the 3-week journey, looking for weaknesses, patterns, anything that might help. They're not retreating because they can't win, she said slowly. They're retreating because we made it too expensive. The Zatrine are an invasive species. They survive by hitting weak targets and overwhelming them quickly, but we cost them over 2/3 of their swarm. That's not sustainable for them. She felt something unclench in her chest. We didn't beat them by destroying them all. We beat them by making them believe we would never stop fighting, no matter the cost. The bridge crew erupted in ragged cheers, the sound of people who'd accepted death and suddenly found themselves alive. Stand down from combat alert, Chen ordered. Get me damage reports from all ships, and someone contact the colony. Let them know they're safe. The numbers, when they came in, were sobering. 4 ships destroyed. Thunder, Valiant, Resolve, and Guardian. 3 more crippled beyond immediate repair. Defiance, Javelin, and Sentinel. 5 ships barely combat capable. 3,000. 214 personnel dead, but 40,000 colonists alive. Chen walked through the Indomitable's corridors, past bulkheads scarred by weapons fire, past crew members who moved with the exhaustion of people who'd fought 11 hours straight and survived it. She found Sergeant Major Santos in the medical bay, her armor scorched and dented, sporting a bandage over one eye. How many? Chen asked quietly. 63 Marines, Admiral, but we held every boarding action. Not one of those bugs made it past the outer hull sections. You did good, Sergeant Major. We did what humans do, ma'am. We held the line. 3 days later, after emergency repairs and the grim business of processing casualties, Chen stood on Kelvar 7's surface for the first time. Governor Televan had insisted on a memorial service for the fallen. Every colonist who could walk had come. 40,000 beings gathered in the central square, surrounding a hastily constructed monument. It was simple, a pillar of local stone, engraved with the names of the 3,214 humans who had died defending people they'd never met. Chen stood before it, reading names she'd memorized during the long nights. Young and old, veterans and rookies from every nation Earth had to offer, united in death as they'd been in life. Televan approached, his 3-fingered hands holding something wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped it carefully. A Kelvar remembrance crystal, a sacred object in their culture, usually reserved for their greatest heroes. Admiral Chen, he said, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. For 300 years my people have been part of the Galactic Council. We followed their rules, respected their boundaries, believed in their civilization, and when we needed them, they calculated that we weren't worth saving. He placed the crystal at the base of the monument. But humans, strangers from across the galaxy, Deathworlders who the Council warned us about, they heard our cry and answered. Not with diplomacy or aid packages or thoughts and prayers. They answered with everything they had. Televan looked up at Chen and tears tracked down his blue-tinted cheeks. You showed us what true civilization looks like. It's not about treaties or technology or how long you've been spacefaring. It's about whether you help when someone needs you. It's about whether you stand when everything says you should run. He stepped back and raised his voice for all to hear. The Kelvar will never forget this. We will tell our children, and they will tell theirs about the day humanity proved that courage and compassion matter more than calculation. About the day Deathworlders became heroes. The crowd erupted in a sound that transcended language, gratitude, respect, and something deeper. Recognition of shared humanity, even across species lines. Chen spoke briefly, her words simple. We did what anyone should do. What everyone should do. We hope next time the galaxy will remember that. The journey home took 4 weeks. The damaged fleet limped back to Earth, nursed by repair crews working around the clock, mourned by crews who'd lost friends and family. They arrived to a changed world. The Galactic Council had indeed condemned Earth's actions. 17 species had signed the resolution, calling humanity's intervention reckless, unauthorized, and setting dangerous precedents. But 47 species abstained. And 3, including the Taurian Collective and the Mren Cluster, submitted formal proposals to establish new protocols for humanitarian intervention. The Kelvar Concordat threatened to leave the Council entirely unless reforms were enacted. More importantly, the galaxy had watched footage from the Battle of Kelvar 7. They'd seen 12 human ships stand against 200 bioships. They'd seen crews fight past the point where any tactical computer would have counseled surrender. They'd seen the Thunder die rather than break formation. The Valiant hold her position even as she burned. The galaxy had watched humans do the impossible because someone needed help. In the weeks that followed, Earth received 42 formal, diplomatic inquiries from species interested in discussing mutual defense arrangements. 6 different civilizations requested permission to send observers to human military academies. The Zatrine Swarm, which had terrorized the galactic frontier for centuries, found themselves suddenly hunted by coalition forces emboldened by humanity's example. And on 1,000 worlds, in 100 languages, people repeated the story. When the SOS reached the Deathworlders, they didn't send aid. They sent hope. They sent courage. They sent a message that the galaxy desperately needed to hear. Some lines cannot be crossed. Some people cannot be abandoned. And when humans draw that line and say no further, the universe itself bends to accommodate them. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in Arlington Memorial Cemetery, watching them enter the urns of 3,000 souls. Behind her, the families of the fallen gathered, parents, children, siblings, lovers, united in grief and pride. She'd written personal letters to every family. It had taken weeks, and she wasn't sure any of them captured what needed to be said. How do you explain that their loved one died for strangers? How do you make that sacrifice meaningful? But as she stood there reading the names on the memorial wall, Chen realized something. She didn't need to explain it. Every human understood it instinctively in their bones, in the DNA shaped by 1,000,000 years on a death world that taught them to protect each other or die alone. They'd gone to Kelvar 7 not despite being human, but because of it. And in the end, that was the only explanation that mattered. Behind her, a young girl placed flowers at the memorial, the daughter of one of the Thunder's crew. She looked up at Chen with eyes too old for her age and asked, "Was my dad a hero?" Chen knelt down, looking the girl in the eye. "Yes," she said simply. Because when he heard people calling for help, he answered, "That's what heroes do. That's what humans do." The girl nodded, accepting this truth, and placed her flowers with the thousands of others. Above them, the sky was blue and peaceful, a death world sky that had raised a species capable of impossible courage. And across the galaxy, on a colony that should have died but didn't, Kelvar children played in fields protected by human sacrifice, learning a new word in their language. The word was humanity, and it meant hope.